Okay, Senator Warren doubling down. You heard there on Medicare for all and pushing ahead with her other progressive proposals as she is surging in the polls. Let's discuss it now with Democratic strategist Dave Brown and Cornell Clinical Professor of Law and founder of the Legal Insurrection website, William Jacobson. Welcome to you both.
Hey, Shannon.
Good to be here.
Okay, so the New York Times is pointing out that the senator is not answering questions when she's pushed again and again. We saw this in the debate last week about whether this means an increase in taxes for the middle class. They say she sidestepped questions about raising taxes no matter who was asking and when. Ms. Warren's repeated refusal to explicitly say whether she would raise taxes on the middle class to help fund Medicare for all has stood in stark contrast to how she's talked about other policy areas, providing lengthy, detailed plans. Professor, what do you expect when she finally tells us how she's going to pay for this price tag?
Well, I think it's going to be the way things typically go in Washington. There'll be projections, there'll be formulas put into the projections that will get her the result that she wants, but the question will be whether those formulas and those projections are realistic, because as we know, government programs always end up costing a lot more than they're projected to cost, and the revenues that come from taxes to fund those programs are always less than projected. So I think that's going to be the real test. Is she coming up with a real-world projection and a real-world plan, or is it essentially going to be pie in the sky? And apparently many of her Democratic contenders do not have confidence that she's going to come up with a realistic plan. So this criticism isn't even coming from Republicans, it's coming from other Democrats, and I think that's a very telling sign.
Well, and there are some who wish that other Democrats would stop asking about it because they think it's counterproductive. In Salon, under the title, "Can we skip the bad faith debate over funding Medicare for all? It's stupid and useless," the writer says, the real point of constantly asking Warren about funding Medicare for all is to get her on the record saying that she plans to raise taxes. Why Buttigieg and the Democratic debate moderators seem to think they are obliged to be Trump's unpaid opposition researchers is truly a mystery. So, Dave, does this conversation about her plan actually end up hurting Democrats?
No, and I think that analysis misses some key points here. Look, I get why she doesn't want to answer the question in terms of the way the question is framed. She disagrees with the premise of the question. Fair enough. I completely respect the fact that her position is that Medicare for all would ultimately drive down costs. Would it cause taxes to go up? Perhaps. We'll have to wait for her plan. But her point is that costs would go down. But setting that aside, Donald Trump will use this. This is an easy talking point for him. If it's not addressed in the primary, I assure you, Shannon, it will be in every attack ad come the general election. So I disagree with anybody out there who says that we shouldn't at least answer the question today. And I do suspect that Senator Warren is far too sophisticated of a political operative to ever utter the words, "I'm going to raise taxes on the middle class." I think that's anathema to what she stands for, and certainly she's not going to say it. But I think that Mayor Buttigieg and Senator Klobuchar and others have fair points, in part because there are different ways to go about this. Everybody wants the same end goal, which is to ensure that health care is affordable, that people have access to it, they're not bankrupting their families to get it, and that they have access to quality health insurance. But, you know, you can have more than one policy proposal on the table, and so this is, I think, a part of a healthy debate. But I'm glad that the senator is going to come out. I think she should answer how she wants to finance her plan, and then, you know, the chips will fall as they may.
Well, the Kaiser Family Foundation polls on this about Medicare for all, and initially when you ask people, it has a positive rating, but we will put up some of these results. When you start asking them about delays in treatments, whether it would require people to pay more taxes, whether it would eliminate private health insurance companies, they are not feeling it at all. Professor, quickly, do you think that this is something that can be sold to the American people?
Well, I think it's going to be very difficult because this is the centerpiece of her political platform, and she doesn't even have a plan for it. She has a plan for everything else except for the thing that's the centerpiece of her political platform, and that's really quite astounding. And I think she's going to have a hard time selling it because giving everybody free health care sounds great, but there's no real free. People are going to have to pay for it, and that's really the question that she doesn't want to answer.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for the debate. Please come back soon. We got to leave it there before we're out of time.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, everyone at home.